A new world order. Everyone stay in your house. We're taking your guns, we're taking your freedom, and we're taking your food. Welcome to the coronavirus quarantined episode of Let There Be Talk. I'm scared. What the fuck is going on out there? My God, man, I do not get it. I'm 54, man. I've lived through AIDS. I've lived through the bird flu. Remember that bird virus? SARS, Ezekiel virus, fucking all of them. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's making me turn into a conspiracy theorist. You know, I'm like, it's all a scam. Scare everyone. Then watch the market drop. People fucking freak out. The rich people just buy up everything. It's funny. Somebody texted me last night. They were like, dude, I got a friend who's he was a soldier in the military, and then he consults for the government, and he told me that, you know, no one's supposed to know about this, but Trump's going to do a full shutdown, a quarantine. You got to stay in your house for 2 weeks. They're going to shut everything down. You better get all your food you need. They're coming after you. And I heard this straight from this guy. He's not supposed to tell anyone. I was like, whoa, that's fucking heavy. And then about an hour later, my buddy calls, hey, dude, like my friend at the aerobic studio, his buddy is such and such, his friend from, the military. And he had the same fucking scared exact words. The Stanford Act is being exercised, and the same wording. And all I thought was, fuck, man. Right then it hit me. Somebody is behind this, man. Maximum fear effect. It's full on, just maximum fear. I can't even imagine how these people are going to act when something real happens, like a full superquake or a nuke attack. Over with these softies. I mean, look, man. Yeah, people are getting sick, but there's fucking shit out there right now every day that we've been talking about and no one bats an eye at. Like the ocean's completely polluted. All plastic out there. People are like, all kinds of deadly shit going on. Fucking look at Michigan. Detroit had dirty water for years. People are like, oh, well, I don't live there. You know? There's all kinds of shit going on. Diabetes has killed more people, guaranteed, in the last year than coronavirus, SARS, and fucking Ezekiel or bird, all of them. Diabetes has killed more, and no one's afraid. They just step right up, buy fucking candy bars and sodas, don't go to the gym. Diabetes, way more fucking scarier than coronavirus to me, and I beat that. So I don't know, man. You're falling for the full fear. The full fear, and there's definitely something behind it. There's definitely feels shady to me, but you're going to be home. Guys out there, you're going to be home. You're going to be locked in your pad. And you're going to want to do some fucking. Ha-ha. I got you set up right here. Visit BlueChew.com. Get your first order free when you use the promo code Delray. Just $5 shipping. That's BlueChew, BlueChew.com. Promo code Delray. If you like sex, you'll love BlueChew.com. Offers men performance enhancement in the bedroom. A shiny, shiny boner, my friends. Shiny boner. At BlueChew.com, you can get the first chewables with the active ingredients that have the same stuff Viagra and Cialis have. Exact. BlueChew.com affiliated physicians work with you to find the dosage and active ingredients that is best for you. Chewables can work faster. Just fucking pop that gum in Boner City. The chewables from BlueChew.com can be taken on a full or empty stomach. Online physician's consultant is free. So it's cheaper than those other two, Viagra and Cialis. It only takes a minute or so with BlueChew.com affiliate physicians to find out if you qualify and get prescribed online. No in-person doctor visits, no awkward conversations of, hey man, my junk ain't working. No waiting in line at the pharmacy, ships directly to your door in a secret, discreet package. Blue Chew works, man. Get back on track. Chewables are made right in the USA. Blue Chew is God. Let me tell you, Blue Chew gives you the confidence that you'll need with your partner. Here it is, a great deal for you guys. BlueChew.com. Get your first order free when you use the promo code Delray. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code is Delray, Delray. Do it. Do it. All right. Let's talk about the guest today. My God. I don't know where you guys were in the early 80s, but I was in full music mode in the 80s, like I am right now. And, I was listening to Iron Maiden. I was listening to Motley Crue. I was listening to Saxon. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in this insane music climate, which was really kind of geared around Los Angeles, a little band, a guitar player out of Texas, Stevie Ray Vaughan and the Double Trouble, dropped. Texas Flood comes out, hits the radio, song called Pride and Joy. Everyone's singing it. 1983, everybody's feeling it. This record absolutely takes off. And all of a sudden, like overnight, you're listening to Maiden, and then you're listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan and the Double Trouble. It was just like that, and people loved it. Could not get enough of Stevie Ray, and a lot of that has to do with the incredible songs and the groove from the rhythm section. And my man today, Whipper himself, king of the shuffle, Chris Layton, is my guest today. Great human. And God, I got to tell you, this could be one of my all-time favorite episodes, because this man is the real deal. And I just absolutely love talking to him. And sitting down in his drum studio last Saturday before the coronavirus lockdown out in Austin. Interviewed him right before my show that I did out there. And my God, I listened to this episode last night. And I just love this guy. He's a guy that I was like, I want this guy in my band. And you could see that's exactly what Stevie also said. And he is the real deal. Grammys, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of it. Legend. Played in Archangels, Storyville. Now, for the last 13 years, he's been with Kenny Wayne Shepherd. They have a brand new record coming out and a tour, if it is not canceled, a tour coming up also. He also plays in the Hendrix Experience every other year, which you heard Brad Whitford talk about and say it was incredible. We talk about that. And I love you, Chris, man. I can't thank you enough for doing this. You are just a legend, man. And I don't throw that around, but you are absolutely a legend. I don't know. It's probably going to be a lot of drummers listening to this episode. I have all kinds of drummers on all the time. I love having drummers on. They are the unsung heroes of rock and roll, and they need all the glory. So if you are a drummer or you're just a civilian out there and you've got some kind of aches and pains, it's time for some CBD. And no better place to go than CBDlion.com. I use this stuff for real. I use this stuff daily. Every day I do the tinctures, and it helps with my my inflammation on my wrists from riding my motorcycle all my life. The old clutch hand and throttle hand. I'm all over the tinctures. A couple drops under the tongue. And it works, man. I'm down with the topical lotions also. I'm using the new roll-on one, CBDlion.com. Use the code DEAN. Get crazy discounts. I'm telling you, CBD is working for me. They got gummies. They got pet tinctures. You got that lunatic dog that's always barking for no reason. Juice them up. Give them a little CBD. No THC, so you can not worry about flunking a piss test. This is clean, 100% third-party tested. This ain't that truck stop shit. Don't buy that stuff. You don't know where that stuff is. I just saw a thing on 60 Minutes. They were saying that a lot of the CBD is just fake, and there's no actual CBD in it, or maybe very little. CBDlion is third-party tested. It is 100% organic, and it is it works, man. Get a patch. They got patches now. They got the vape pens, the shatter, bath bombs. You're going to have plenty of time to be taking baths, man, during this quarantine. Get yourself a CBD bath bomb. CBDlion, the official podcast sponsor for Let There Be Talk, and I love those guys. All right, we're going to get into the episode. Before we do, thank you to all the new Patreoners. Jill Gertzenberger, thank you, Jill. Greg Hoy, Steve Hodgson, Jay Vinitsky, Sean Davison, Eugene, Paul, Phil John Jones. That's a rock star name. Adam Crawford, Connor Hargrave, Matt Garville, and Simon Blowen. All brand new Patreon. It's got 65 bonus episodes up there. I just put up the one talking all about the Bon Scott tribute, and that's a good 1 hour episode. That looks like about it. I wish I could promote some tour dates, but I'm going to tell you, Elko, Nevada just got canceled. I'm not sure yet about Tempe, Arizona. I hope that happens. I just lost a lot of work, man. A lot of work. And I know a lot of you are out there hurting too, boy. It's what happens when you're an artist. There's no unemployment. There's no paid sick leave. None of that. I'm just out here scrambling, so I'm gonna just concentrate on the podcast and hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it right now. Here he is, episode number 5. What is this? 521. The Whipper, Chris Layton. check. What do you got there, Chris? Check your mic. Put the fucking foam on. It fell on your side.
Oh, dude.
There you go.
The windscreen.
Yeah, the windscreen.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Oh, yes.
Testing. We good over there? How
Here
we doing?
we go. We look good, dude.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're over here in South Austin.
South Austin. Is that what this is?
This is South Austin. We got Dean Del Rey as our special guest over here at the garage.
Introduce yourself, my man.
Oh, my name is Chris Layton.
Whipper.
Chris Whipper Layton.
Dude, man, you are like one of my favorite humans. And I've only known you like 6 months.
Well, that's the deal. Wait till you know me better.
Oh, yeah. That's probably why I like you so much.
Yeah. Give it time, Dean.
How the hell are you, dude?
I'm good.
Man, first of all, we met at a party. And we sat down and we talked, and I was immediately like, I fucking love this guy. I would play in a band with this guy in a minute. You know, to find the right kind of people to play with is so hard. The chemistry is such a thing. And I could see immediately how Double Trouble would be just an amazing band to play in.
Yeah, that's a big deal. You know, because I know a lot of guys, and this is not a comment about me, but there's a lot of guys who play really good, and
they can't hang.
But the chemistry ultimately. You look at bands. To me, I look at bands like the Stones, or there's a lot of them that have been together a while, and you go, you know what? They just had a thing that glued them together, or certainly didn't repel them apart. And of course, the business and all that. There's all those other things that enter into it, but. You know, you got to have the chemistry, and the chemistry's in the music,
absolutely,
as well as it is in the people living together.
Well, you always see that if a band changes a member, it wipes out the chemistry. It's always like
It really, you know what? It can do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it really can.
Yeah.
You picked me up in a '67 Mustang GT, man. What a rad car. Black with the white stripes. Is that original paint? It looks all patinaed up.
It's patinaed up. That car was restored 30 years ago, and so it's the restoration. It's the restoration.
Right. What a great car. How long you had it?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Were you always a Mustang guy?
Well, my father was a General Motors dealer back in South Texas.
I read that.
Yeah, and down the street was was Stone Ford. I mean, it was just one street. And so he was at one end, Stone Ford was at the other. And I used to sneak down there because I actually liked the way Fords looked better.
Yeah.
You know, while you're rooting for the team back when you had the big three, right?
Yeah.
And I'd go down there and look at the cars. I got caught down there one day because I used to work at his dealership. You know, I did grease rack, coffee machines, drink machines, sweep the warehouse. 9-year-old kid, and I was down there one day, and one of the guys said, "Little Red," he goes, "I'm gonna tell your old man you were down there. He's gonna paddle your ass." It was Red Layton. He had red hair, nicknamed Red Layton, and I remember I ran all the way back down the alley. I went back and got my push broom, and I was pushing. Could see my father's office. He had a window that looked out over into the warehouse, and I kept watching him. Every time he got on the phone, I thought, "Oh shit, he's calling him. He's calling him." He just called him, and finally, after a while, I couldn't stand it anymore.
You confessed?
I did. I went to my dad. I said, "Dad, have you talked to anybody at Stone Ford today?" He went, "Well, yes, I talked to a couple people." I went, "Okay," and he stopped me. He goes, "Why? You look worried. What's going on?" I said, "Dad, I went down there and I was looking at those Fords," and he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I thought maybe I'd get in trouble because I really like them, Dad." He said, "Son, I do too." He goes, "Son," he goes, I'm just a businessman." He said, "Everybody makes good cars." He said, "Except for Dodge." He goes, "Their cars aren't worth a shit." He goes, "But their drivetrains are the best." He goes, "Why don't you go back to work?"
Wow, man. Wow. What year was that? I'm just trying to figure out what cars were on the lot then. 19,
I'd say it was probably 8 or 9 years old, 1968, 67.
Oh, so good shit. You got the Camaro, The Camaro's out.
Yeah, yeah.
67, 68, that's the great Camaro era. 68 for me. Everybody likes the 69, but I'm a 68 guy.
I like them, yeah.
I like the closed-off front end, the RSSS with the tick-tock gauges, 4 on the floor, the wood steering wheel, that crazy console. But, look, man, Dodge at the time had the coolest... That's the Hemi era,
Well, the 426 was really in a class all its own.
Yeah.
No engine could really keep up with the 426. I mean, but I grew up in the muscle car era.
You did?
I mean, in a car dealership.
Wow.
So, that was a golden childhood for me.
Now, was your dad, this is an interesting question because I don't know what an owner of a dealership made, but was he wealthy back then?
No, it's funny. My dad, of course, anybody might say, "Oh, my dad was a great man." I remember because my dad kind of did everything for a whole number of years. He was real busy because he was a used car manager in Corpus Christi, a place called Gillespie Buick. But he was talking to people, and him and my mom were having these conversations, and he was doing something. I thought something was up. Well, he basically scraped enough money to put it down because the dealership at that time, if I remember this correctly, I remember him saying something that was like a $450,000 venture in 1963. That's a lot of money.
That's massive.
That's a lot of money back then. And then something came to light that he had a guy working for him that made more money than him. And I asked him about it, and he said, well, yeah, Benny Franco, this guy that he hired who was just this ace salesman.
Yeah.
He said, he goes, my salespeople work on a commission. He goes, I don't sell that many cars because I'm running the business. He said, so yeah, he said, I take what's called a draw. He goes, I've got a lot of financial responsibility here to make this thing run. I give us the debt.
Yeah.
Right. He said, yeah, he makes a little bit more money than I do because he sells more cars and he gets a commission. And I thought, how weird that that the owner doesn't make way more money than everybody.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm trying to build something here. He goes, that's just how it works out at this point in time. I thought I didn't think much of it, but later on, when all these different things emerge and you go, wow, like the CEO makes like 1,000 times more than the workers and all that stuff we got going on, right? And I thought, wow. That was pretty cool. Kind of different time, that whole deal.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Was he always a car guy?
Yes.
Till the day he died? Is he? Of course, he's not around anymore, right?
No, he passed away when I was 19. He was a car guy until he came down with multiple sclerosis, and so that he started getting sick. It kind of took him quicker than it does most people.
Yeah.
So he had to sell the business because it was just too many things going on. And
wow.
So he was kind of in car business related things until he passed away.
Wow, 19. Wow, that's a.
Yeah, he was 52. I was 19.
Whew, man.
Yeah.
That's young, man.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people on, and I love having drummers on. I think that. I've said it over and over. Show me a good band, and I'll show you a good drummer. Yeah, I mean, as far as there's not a great band. Can you think of one that had a bad drummer? Can you?
Well, that great. If you go back to bands, like I don't know how great I am, but I think I was a good band member.
Yeah,
and. I think that probably that statement is that thought's kind of a loaded one because if you're just talking about bands, right? I mean, all the parts make up they're all integral. And you go, well, how was anybody particularly great in their band? Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that people are great or not great in their band. And I think the simple answer is no. I haven't known of a great band that didn't have a great drummer.
Right.
And maybe part of that was it wasn't always about just his drumming skills.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at some of the greatest bands, of course, I think we wouldn't be talking about any of them if they didn't have songs. We know that.
Right.
There's no band that we would be talking about right now that didn't have songs, which is really interesting to think about Stevie Ray Vaughan. it's so mind-boggling to me. If you look at the time, it's 82, 83, 84. What's going on? It's the birth of kind of the Sunset Strip again, booming. You've got Maiden and all that metal going on, and then you've got like Motley Crue getting ready to hit, and Van Halen's huge. And then here comes a three-piece blues band. But the reason it hit so hard, of course, Stevie was amazing, but great songs, you know?
You know, that came to light a number of years ago. Reese Winans called me and said, "Hey, man, I think we ought to do like kind of like what I do with Experience Hendrix, a bunch of, that tour of people playing Jimi Hendrix music." And he said, "I think we ought to do that." And we did it in Nashville. We've done it twice. And there was a bunch of people, all like the Nashville A session players and artists and whatnot, which was a whole review of all these great people. And when we worked up the material and then we did the show, as weird as this sounds, we were playing all these songs and nobody played, and they didn't want to play anything like Stevie, and we weren't playing them, trying to copy what we did with them. And it dawned on me, I went, God, these are some really good songs.
Oh, my God.
Really good songs.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing, when you were talking about, I think probably my place with Stevie was that when we met, I seemed to meet somebody that, I kind of was hard-headed, and I kind of had a view of like how I wanted to live life, and his and mine kind of dovetailed perfectly.
Right.
Because there was a lot of unlikely things that somebody would think about him or me, and when we met, those unlikelihoods kind of came right into sync, and we were like, you know what, let's get busy.
Yeah.
That's kind of was and so all the rest of it, the technical aspects of it and all that, I go, hell, I don't know. It's kind of like anything else. It's there's kind of a mystery to it, even when there's a lot of things that seem real obvious.
Yeah. Well, you also have to take your hats off to John Hammond. Here's a guy who saw some genius in Dylan when people were like, that guy can't sing. And then he does it again with Bruce. But then he does it with you guys. And you look at it as like, I don't know what he saw that would be like, this is going to be big. I don't know if he thought it was going to be big or he just said, I like this and I'm grabbing this.
You know what? I don't think he actually ever cared about that, because I had conversations with him about that, and he told me about when he first met Dylan.
Yeah.
He was at Columbia Records, and people said, he was saying, hey, what's going on? And he said people told him about, there was this weird guy down in the Village. And they go, well, he's not as singing and his harmonica playing, I don't know, his guitar, and he has these wild words, the things that he's saying. And John Hammond told me, he said, I was absolutely fascinated by the whole idea. And he said, man, I'd love to meet this guy. So he said one day the knock came at the door, and that Bob Dylan walked in. He made his way to his office at Columbia.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, my Bob Dylan. He went, oh, I've heard about you.
Oh, my God.
He said, wow, would you play me some songs? And he said he sat down across the desk and played him a couple of 3 tunes. He said, I absolutely loved him, and I wanted to give him a record deal right on the spot. And that's kind of where it seemed to begin and end with John.
Yeah.
And when he heard some of our tapes, the comment he made about Stevie, he said, I love it. He loved all of us.
Yeah.
And he said, I love this band. He goes, he goes, I haven't heard anybody imbued with that kind of spirit since Robert Johnson. I went, that's heavy.
Wow, that is heavy.
But he was like our biggest champion, and the guy had, I'd say he had an ear for something, because when we actually did the second record, which was the first one that he was immersed in.
Right.
It was when we did Tin Pan Alley. We were setting up, and I didn't even think, I thought we were getting ready to go for sounds, and we just played it for some odd reason, and he came over the mic and he said, that song, that right there is you. He goes, that is you right there. That is the three of you. But no, we're just kind of warming up,
Yeah.
He goes, that's it. That's the quintessential you guys. And so we tried to cut the song a few more times. It just never had the vibe. I went, how did he know that?
Wow.
And he just knew things like that.
There's dudes like that, like Amit, you know?
Yeah,
These guys, they truly had an ear for music of all different styles. They just knew good song or some kind of magic was on something that they would go after.
Yeah, no, it was just that kind of that instinct, that thing, that gift that people have for whatever. You know, Clive Davis in the song.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the stories go on and on, but yeah, I miss him. He was a great humanist. He was a really, really cool person.
Yeah. I don't know what Stevie was doing before Double Trouble and all of his fame, because it just seemed to me all of a sudden, boom, here's this guy, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Was he grinding it out around Texas and all that, like with different players before he gets the Double Trouble going?
Yeah, well, he'd come from Dallas.
Right.
And he basically followed his big brother Jimmy here because everybody was hearing what a cool place it was. And so he showed up here, and he had bands Blackbird and Cracker Jack that he had short stints in. I ran into him in a band called Paul Ray and the Cobras, and my roommate, who I had this little band I brought from Corpus, and brought this sax player up, had a connection to somebody in the band, and he ended up playing in the band. He said, yeah, you ought to come out and see us. And finally, I made it out there. Oddly enough, the drummer who had a sheetrocking gig during the day had overslept. He always took a nap and then went to the gig, and he overslept. And so my roommate talked the band into letting me get up there and at least get the band going because the place was packed out. And Stevie kind of kept turning around and looking at me. And the next day, he came over to our apartment.
Yeah.
And
I love that story.
Yeah, and he walked up on me, you know, playing, and that's where we started talking. But I mean, to your question, I mean, kind of like anybody else does when they're getting started with anything, if they're willing to work. He was, you know, he'd been at it for years, just playing in this band and doing this and that, like all of us do. In fact, by the time Texas Flood came out, we'd all been working together for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Getting in vans and, you know.
So it was that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were just out doing kind of that circuit and just playing, like what, blues gigs?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were doing what we did. The interesting thing is I'd never played in a blues band. I never really had played blues. And
wow.
I just found this out a couple of years ago that when he came to the apartment, I was back playing drums in the backup, and he pulled Joe Sublette, you know, my roommate, out. He said, has he ever played blues? And he went, no, man, he's never played blues. And Stevie said, that's good.
Yeah, that is good.
He goes, I like that. And my roommate, I just heard this story a couple of years ago. And he said, why is that good? He goes, because he doesn't have a bunch of preconceived ideas about what things are supposed to be. And
yeah, like standard shuffles.
Yeah, you got to do shit
stuff.
this way. I do it like this, man, and they do it like that. And
yeah.
You know, we kind of do things like this way, and that's my thing, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And but when we started talking that day, I had been playing to this Donny Hathaway record. We started talking. I said, who else do you like? I said, well, Stevie Wonder. He goes, that's one of my favorites.
Oh.
And we talked about, so, you know, Miles Davis. We just kind of ran down the laundry list of people that I was intrigued by. And he went, I like all those people too. And I told him, I said, man, I said, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to do something with you. You know, just, I don't know where or what or when. I go, but that'd be great, man. Because when I saw him.
Yeah.
And I played him with, there was just something about him. He wasn't the guy that everybody came to know.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Did he have the Stevie thing early on? Because to me, it seems like if he did, people would have been talking about that right away. Early on, when you see him, he's not as refined. He doesn't become that Stevie Ray Vaughan. But what did he have? Was he just because what I liked about Stevie was he was so fluid. It didn't feel like those dudes that I know all the parts. It just poured out of him, man.
You know what? The first time I ever saw him, and played with him, it was just like, I can't describe it. I mean, I could use a lot of adjectives, you know, but the guy just had a thing. I mean, he had a thing like I'd never actually experienced or witnessed. And he wasn't doing anything. It was just the way he did everything. I went, wow, that's like fascinating. And I was just taken by it, you know. I was just immediately interested and attracted to it.
Yeah.
You know, the caveat, you know, to Stevie was that he led kind of a tumultuous personal life. You know, Linus, you know.
Oh, yeah. Linus from Snoopy.
Well, he kind of had all this stuff, you know, like didn't have a place to live, and he was doing drugs, and didn't have a car, and people said, "Oh, the guy's like a mess," you know. And it was kind of like the skull and crossbones, like, you know, stay away, you know.
Yeah.
He's nothing but it's a chaos over there.
Yeah.
And I went, well, yeah, I can see all that, but there was that thing, you know, which kind of really played itself out in the whole story, our story.
Yeah.
The band, as people would know it, and it was all of that. And so yeah, I mean, we went through a lot of struggle and suffering, a lot of it needlessly, but it's kind of just what happened. But
there's dudes like that where they have all the talent in the world, but their life sucks. They don't know how to get an apartment. They don't know how to pay a phone bill. They don't have a car or a license. And after a while, it's interesting that you say that.
he didn't even have a phone bill. He didn't have a phone.
That's what I'm saying, you know. And there's these dudes. I grew up with guys like that were incredible players, and you try and you go, fuck this guy, you know, after a while, because you're like, he can't get here. Oh, he's in jail right now. Oh, he's high on drugs. It's wild.
All of it. In fact, you know, getting the band together and getting a vehicle and all these different things, this guy showed up, Cutter Brandenburg, who had known Stevie since their childhood, and he'd gone off and made his way through the music business, and he was one of the team tour managers of the Bee Gees and the Saturday Night Fever World Tour, that whole deal. And he came back to Austin, and he came to see a show, and he said, man, you guys, he goes, you need some help. There's some things you don't know, and maybe I can help you. And he told me, he said, you know what? He goes, y'all need to really get your shit together. He was looking at things like staging at some point, and dress, and, you know, conduct, and all these different things. A show, a whole deal.
Right.
And he said, you know, he goes, I've just been around the world for the last 3.5 years. He goes, and I don't know of like 5 guitar players that are good enough to even carry this guy's case.
Yeah.
And right then this thing went off in my head. I thought, yeah, you know what? That is it. I go, Stevie was in a way such a mess that I'd kind of stopped liking his guitar playing. I mean, that's me, right? I'm going, Jesus, it's like, where is he now? You know, and the gig and all that, that thing we started off with about people.
Yeah.
You know, like going, Jesus, it's like, and I'd forgotten about how great the thing
because
was.
the other shit bugs you so much.
Yeah, you get all overwhelmed by that shit.
Yeah.
And you go, and you have to lose sight of why you even got there in the first place.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
And it's funny. And I went, yeah, that's right. That's right. We can do better.
Right.
We can all do better. Let's re-energize, and, you know.
That's it's funny that you say that, because I just know so many people like that. Of course, not the level of Stevie Ray, but I do know guys that were just amazing, say, bass player or an amazing drummer or an amazing singer. And you're always like, hey, let's get this guy in. How come he's not playing with anyone? And then you get in and you go, oh.
That's why.
Shit. Yeah. So when you start playing with him, does that stuff start to unravel, and is it like really out of control, and you're just holding on for dear life the entire career of the Double Trouble?
No.
I know he got clean for a while, but was it just like, wow, this is nuts?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of that. I mean, I could have to say that good fortune kind of shined down on us with, you know, John Hammond. John Hammond was the one that made the CBS turned Sony Music deal happen. And then you get caught up and, you know, we start putting out records and people go, wow, you know, who is this fucking guy and all this?
I mean, Cold Shot comes out, dude, and it's like over with.
No, I know. So it's like, you know, that whole thing, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
And then we really kind of had the whole tiger by the tail knot.
Yeah.
You know, you're like going, shit. And I think, you know, the whole thing, I mean, really, as much of anything else possibly due to death, almost just came to an end. And that's when sobriety came into the picture. In the last almost 5 years of his life, he was sober. And it's one of those things that's kind of like life poetry, not in a great way. That when he passed away, you went, God, you know, finally we really had our shit together.
Yeah.
You know, we just started, I mean, as far as on the whole career and business thing, which was really indicative of how well we were starting to all live together in our music and every other way. we just started playing arenas, and it was like, this is like the big time, and then boom, it was all over.
Yeah.
So it's a weird poetry to all that, but we went through a lot of different things of struggle, going all the way back to that beginning. I mean, I remember I had enough credit to go find a vehicle, a van, and co-sign a note for the band to have a way to get to gigs.
Oh, shit.
And then we wrecked it, and everyone was like, well, do we still have to keep paying for it? I went, yeah, we do.
Oh, no.
I go, what? We actually did a benefit for ourselves to try to pay. I bet they bought a van for like $3,000.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like we owed like, $1,800 on. They go, well, why do we have to pay for it if we can't use it anymore? They're like, oh my God.
God, that's so fucking, that's that rock buffoonery that makes me crazy.
No, but I think people are just like, well, we don't want to deal with that. I think it was like, well, we don't want to have to deal with that either.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
No, and I go, I'd come from watching my dad do car deals and finance and all this stuff. I'm going, wait a minute, no, I don't want. I'm not trying to sound arrogant here, but I go, you kind of got to be responsible and do what you say you're going to do and be good citizens and all this stuff. And I go, with all the shit that was going on, the way we were all partying, that was kind of hard to live up to on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
is the truth of it. Yeah, and I'm no saint.
No, I mean, matter of fact, you told me that when Stevie was clean, you were still rolling.
Yeah, I was still rolling.
Which that had to be interesting dynamic, because here's Stevie that's clean and you're still rolling. Was he doing that thing of like, hey man, you guys need to be clean too so I can stay clean?
Well, no, but you know what? Because he was kind of a special human in a certain sort of way.
Yeah.
In that, it's that old deal where you go, well, you know what I'll just sneak off, right? And nobody would ever know. But people know you.
Oh, yeah.
And whether they witness something or not, they go, something's going on with this guy.
Yeah.
He asked me, he goes, are you sure you don't have a problem with alcohol and drugs? I went, oh, no, I'm good. He goes, you're not an alcoholic or a drug? I said, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. He went, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, whatever I was doing, he was a very insightful person. He could see deep into things. I thought all the time he knew, but it was like, you know what? It's kind of like, I guess, I have to say he loved me and things that much to say, we'll just give all this some time. And because the truth of it is that I go, nobody can keep doing and being involved in all that shit forever without the chickens coming home to roost on them.
Totally.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Something catches up. Something happens, and you got to pay the piper,
What was his thing? Was he caught up in a blues persona of like the blues guys did dope, so I'm going to? What was it? Because here we got a guy from Dallas, and he's out in Austin, and you don't really think of that as like a dope scene, but you do think of it as like blues guys get into that.
Well, I think the truest thing is that if somebody's an addict or they're an alcoholic, however you want to frame that, that's just first what they've become. Right. However that happens. But I think the other thing that you're speaking to is like, that's kind of like the great armchair romantic rationalization.
Yeah.
And we had a guy that was working with us, and he left. He was another tour manager, and we came off a gig in D.C. and came out. He was on the bus. He was crying. He said, I got to leave you guys. He goes, I know you guys, because you seem to have this romanticism about whether it's Jimi Hendrix or Jim Morrison, whoever, that there's something romantic or something incredibly creative about getting fucked up or something. And that fuels your creativity. He goes, I'm here to tell you, he goes, that's a bunch of bullshit. He goes, this stuff's going to kill you. He goes, and I can't stand to sit around any longer and watch y'all do it to yourself. So I'm leaving. I've booked a flight for tomorrow morning. I've already talked to manager. They got a new tour manager coming in, and I'm going home because I can't stand this anymore. And he left.
Whoa.
So, I mean, that was to me, I go, you know what? The guy said it all, like, yeah, man, I'm going to do heroin like the jazz guys, or I'm going to do acid like Janis did it, and all that stuff that's you try to tell yourself that all this stuff is where you need to be because it fuels this great creativity and success. And
and really all those people died so quick that we didn't even really see the downfall of them, as far as like where shit would go really bad. The downfall is they died, but I'm saying, you know, when you see a long-term addict on something, booze or where stuff just, it's better they die, because when they're alive, the shit goes so bad. Car crashes, losing wives, kids, all of that weird darkness, you know?
Yeah, and sometimes that's written off like, wow, what a dynamic life.
Yeah.
Like the one that nobody would really want. Like, I really want all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, it's, there was a lot of that at a point in time that was heavily romanticized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what an exciting adventure. It's like, yeah, in some of the worst kind of ways that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, I always wanted to do dope, but I couldn't stand needles. And I always thought like, oh man, a couple of my buddies would shoot up and I'd just be like, ooh, it was just so gnarly to me, you know?
It's very gnarly.
And I just didn't even understand how you learn to do that. There's no YouTube.
No,
or anything.
right?
Yeah,
Like
you're like, well, you just try it, you know? And it's like, well, somebody teaches you. And it's like, well, where'd that guy learn? It's weird.
No, it is. It's like, here's our next course. We're going to stick a needle in your arm like in a dirty bathroom.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, I know it's pretty wild.
Really gnarly. You told me an incredible story about, I think you said Cold Shot was just like one take.
That was one of those weird things where we never actually played the song.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
Because Stevie could never get an arrangement to it that he
That was
wanted.
the story, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, we were all up in New York. We're at the power station, and I don't know, we'd been up for a couple days, and I pass out on the couch. And all of a sudden, he wakes me up at like, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning. I should have been at the hotel, but he's like, come on, let's do Cold Shot. And I went, no, I want to go to the hotel. He goes, come on, let's just give it one try. And I went, oh, we don't even know the song. He said, it doesn't matter. Let's just go in there and do something.
Yeah.
I get up and I walk like 10 feet through the door, and there's my kit in the big room, right? And he just launches into it, and then I just start playing, and we made it all the way through a song. And I went, God, that was kind of pretty cool. And then I went to the hotel, and sometime later the next day, he had gone in and put the vocal on it. We had the song, and that was it. I was like, wow. We played it as an instrumental.
Oh, that's wild.
And so we just
no guide vocal, nothing.
Nothing. No, we just instinctively, because it's kind of, you know, where we were at as a band. We just kind of made our way through one song, and that's what we did. We did it. That was the whole thing.
Yeah,
and we were done.
When you think about your guys' career, I remember specifically these incredible TV performances. You guys just murdered, like Mantra, and then the Austin City Limits. Those are like monumental performances when you see them. You know, it's just, there's that one I think where he breaks the string and the guy puts the string on.
Isn't that amazing?
That's fucking so legendary, that shit.
Do you ever watch that on YouTube?
Yeah.
I actually watched it a few weeks ago, because even though it's documented that it all worked out, every time I watch it, it looks like he's not going to make it.
I can't believe
No,
it. Yeah. You're like, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
I've seen it 100 times, but this time it's not going to happen.
Wow, yeah, right. You're like, yeah, it was all tricks. But goddamn, man, that kind of shit is stuff that makes legends, you know, legendary performances. Those Austin City Limits gigs, man, they're just like unbelievable.
You know, the funny thing about like that, like recording or like TV shows or whatever, you know, that, I mean, they immortalize that.
Yeah.
Right. Because you go, well, there they are.
Yeah.
You captured them. But the odd thing about them is like, it was just one time in a whole series of like, you know, 13 years of just doing stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so there were, you know, I think, and I go, God, there were other times where we did a gig one time in upstate New York at a college gymnasium.
Yeah.
SUNY. And it was like one of the most unbelievable gigs I think we ever did. And, you know, we were playing for, you know, 1,000 college students. And you go, there's no recording and there's no cameras and you go, what about that one?
Oh, yeah.
What about that one? You know, and like Cold Shot. You know, you go, just did it, and it was just captured. And you go, well, we played it hundreds of times after that, but, you know.
And his voice was amazing, too. It wasn't like, I'm the blues guy. Like, you know, Pride and Joy is just this, it's this beautiful, it's got this southern drawl kind of thing.
You know, it's funny. I got a call one time about John Mayer wanting Tommy and I to be guests of his on Austin City Limits.
Yeah, John loves you guys.
No, John. And then John called me. He said, can I give me your number? And he called me a few minutes later. He's like, and he went right to, he said, I know all your music.
Yeah.
He goes, I listen to everything. He goes, he told me about being in this bedroom as as a kid in school. But he goes, but Stevie's voice.
Yeah.
And I went, oh yeah, right. And I was just he went right to that thing about, I was like, no man, but the way he sang, and I went,
it's so true, dude. It's so true because most guitar players, they don't have let's say Eddie Van Halen, he's not a singer. Clapton sings. He's got a thing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But Stevie just had, to me, it wouldn't have grabbed me if it was just great guitar playing. It would grab me, but only for about a year. I would be like, this guy's an incredible guitar player, but then I'd move on. But you had the songs, you guys had the feel, and then he had that voice, man.
You know what? John Hammond actually said something about that, not in regards to Stevie's voice, but the fact that he was talking about any number of great guitar players who don't sing, don't care to, and he said it never quite becomes the same thing. He goes, because the person who does that, you just said Clapton's one of them, you know, and Stevie, another, is that they've actually combined the whole message of who they are.
Yeah.
And I went, that's heavy. I never really thought about it that way. Because I look at guys like Jeff Beck or, if you like Carlos Santana, you go, oh, they're motherfuckers. But when somebody actually endeavors in singing and they actually sing their songs, you got the entire message wrapped up in one point.
That's what I love.
It's heavy. And I went, I never thought about that.
Yeah. And he had great melody, too. It wasn't just that standard blues stuff, Well,
when I first saw him, when he was in the band Paul Ray and the Cobras, he would sing a song. He'd sing Albert King's Crosscut Saw.
Right.
I mean, he did another song or two, but he kind of got up there kind of sheepishly and kind of kind of barely delivered it like, is this okay?
Yeah.
I think that, when he left that band, and Lou Ann Barton was the one, she pulled him out of that band and said, come on, you seem like you're bored, or she said some things to him, and they started a band called Triple Threat Review. It was together for a few months, and then it turned into Double Trouble, and that's when I came in, right, when he asked me to join the band. But they did, actually. But she was such a powerful and dynamic vocal presence. You know Lou Ann Barton?
No.
As a career, based on her vocal ability only, she could have been like a superstar. Because she was really powerful. She had this presence. And I kind of get this feeling like if he was going to have a band that was named after him with her in it, and he was going to do some singing, he kind of had to really get stepped up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you got somebody over there who's just bringing it every time they open their mouth. And I think that actually helped him kind of really step up. And then when she had to go, she had to leave the band, it was like, well, I remember I had this conversation in this new book, Texas Flood.
Yeah. Somebody just sent me that.
They did?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, our agent at the time, we called the agent, and he said, well, who's going to sing? You're on tour, and she's out of the band. And Stevie said, well, I guess I'm the new singer.
Wow.
And so he just stepped up and started singing, in which, a short time later, he was in full bloom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At what point do you guys kind of become that really kick-ass era? Because early on, you can see it's kind of this three-piece band, but then it comes on, it's got the thing. He's got the poncho. You guys have this look and this whole thing. Does that come in just from touring and becoming something? Or is that tour manager going, hey man, you guys got to get this look. You got to get some shit together?
Well, back towards the, the whole blues thing, if you want to talk about it, and you were made reference to the dope thing and all that, was there was kind of a blues scene here, and it was kind of like a thing not dissimilar from the East Coast where you wear thrift shop clothes, you got the bowling shirt and the hair's greased back, and you're wearing the brogans and the pleated pants and all that kind of stuff. But Stevie had a Lenny, who was his girlfriend become wife.
Yeah.
Had gotten kimonos, and you go over to their house, and he'd be wearing a kimono,
Yeah.
And that same guy cut a brand and said, why don't you wear that on stage?
Yeah.
Because get rid of all those fucking barbecue thrift shop clothes you keep putting all those little apple. And he was the one that actually went and had Manny Gamage from Texas Hatters make that black hat.
That guy's the fucking.
No, you know what?
He's the problem with the Strat and the hat era.
No,
that's what I always say.
No, that's his fault. It really was his fault. I got to give credit because he showed up one day and he goes, let me see that hat you're wearing. He took that old Applejack off. And he said, "Did you try that on?"
Yeah.
And Stevie Pony goes, "Hell, I kind of like this." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "That might be you."
Yeah.
And then Stevie put on the kimono, right?
I love it.
And the hat, and we started doing gigs, and people were like, "Wow, what's going on?" And the music had really changed, but that's kind of on the musical part.
Just a subtle change in the outfit. It's like Jimmy Page in the Dragon Pants, you know?
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, well, that guy is different than the dude on the street here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe they both can play pretty fucking good, but this guy's wearing Dragon Pants. That guy's got a kimono on and a fucking hat. And he'll go to the grocery store like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what he did do that.
Yeah.
But the other part about the music part of it is that, from that very first time that I met Stevie and we talked about stuff, and then when Tommy Shannon got in the band, we were both like, yeah, man, let's do that Hendrix tune.
Yeah.
Let's do that Stevie Wonder tune. Because there was kind of like a thing, like a march in the line of doing, well, let's do, we do Jimmy Reed stuff, and we do a little this, and Stevie was writing, but it was all kind of more down that kind of that vein of like we do the blues. But we said, no, man, let's do those songs. Let's work on stuff like that. Let's just get them. And so we started actually finding our own path.
Yeah.
Instead of like following along with the path that had been laid out. We did Hendrix and we did Stevie Wonder, and then he started writing more. He ran back into his old friend Doyle Bramhall Sr.
Yeah, Senior.
And they started writing, and so that all that stuff started changing. The whole landscape started changing musically, which was really, in a way, as radical as the kimono and the black hat.
Yeah.
On the music side of it. So then everything kind of started coming together, and he started stepping out more. And the thing about him and guitar playing was like I got some great recordings of like him with, just doing Hendrix and the feedback, the honest feedback where you like basically have the cable going straight from the guitar to the amp and all this wild shit coming out.
Up on the amp.
And he could just do things.
Like that machine gun stuff, Yeah,
and he's still the only person that I've ever run across that he would just do something that you go, how in the hell can he fucking do that? And I said, and you think, did you practice? I said, no, it just came to me, so I did it.
Wow.
I mean, playing wise, I'm talking about just him playing the guitar.
Right.
And he would just do stuff, and you go like things that you would see guys going and practicing for like 2 weeks, and then go give it a try.
Yeah.
He would just do it, and you go, where'd that come from? He said, I don't know, it just came to me, so I just did it, and he executed flawlessly.
Wow.
It just came right out, and he just,
Yeah. I mean, you guys, you guys absolutely exploded, and I do talk about it a lot. You were so fucking great, and all of a sudden we had the Strat and the hat era. Everybody got the Strat, the hat, and they were all out doing. I was working part-time in a guitar store at the time, and everybody came in, gunga, 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 gunga. They all needed the Strat, they needed the Leslie spinning speaker, the Vibra Verbs, or the Dumbles, all that. And it was just really a wild, wild time because we go from the Eddie Van Halen, Charvel, Marshall amps to all of a sudden tweed fenders everybody needs. They need the 59 Strat, slab board. They need the hat. It was funny, and none of them understood that you also need songs. It was wild.
I think all that stuff, honestly, is some of the best hidden, the so-called marketing secret of the musical instrument business. Because you think, you know what? I'm going to get a guitar like that. I'm going to get an amp like that. And whenever later, I'm going to get a couple of those same pedals. And then you'll be that guy that bought that stuff.
Yeah.
That's you go, wow, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. when you were working in Jackson Brown's studio on the first record, was Jackson Brown, was he around a lot?
No, in fact, it's funny. I was just at NAMM doing something for Fender, and I ran into Jackson. He was talking about the book.
Uh-huh.
And we talked a little bit about right at that point when we met him when we got to L.A., but we'd met him in Switzerland. And so he said, yeah, come use my place. And so we got there, and it's funny because the Dumble amplifier,
Yeah.
Stevie brought like a super and a vibroverb and a super reverb and a vibroverb. And
Right.
we're kind of like carting that shit in, and we got a little drum kit and a bass amp. And Jackson says, well, okay, look, here's, just use whatever you want, He goes, hey, Stevie, he goes, that little amp over there, he goes, that amp was made for me. He goes, this guy here named Howard Dumble, he goes, by Alexander Dumble, he goes, yeah, he made me that amp. He goes, it's kind of dirty. He went through the mudslide. He goes, but don't let that fool. He goes, it's a pretty cool little sounding amp if you want to try that out. So he went, yeah, okay, cool. And Stevie fired it up.
Yeah.
And he plugged into it, and he played. Went, man, that's a cool amp. So we did Texas Flood, him playing that amp.
It's sick.
And he said, how do I get a hold of this guy?
Yeah.
And so then they met, and they came up with, and Howard made the amps that Stevie used, which kind of started exploding the Dumble amp deal.
Oh, it's bigger than ever.
No, and then people are like, wow, we got to get a Dumble, I mean, he was a guy he made amps for people, and
Yeah.
and they're stellar.
Yeah. All of Jackson's Brown's band had them, and then all of a sudden some other people started having them, and I thought the guy was dead up until about a year ago, and I, because I was going to have John Mayer on, and I love Dumble amps, but I never really dug around to where the guy was these days. He's still out in Santa Cruz, I guess, still making amps.
Yeah, he's still around. He's still alive and well.
Yeah. So the Jackson Brown studio, when you guys were in there, was it 24 track, 2-inch tape? Just how long were you in there? Just cutting stuff live? What was happening?
Shit, you know what? I think it was a 16 track. And I mean, it was a production studio and kind of a warehouse. They kept gear there, and they'd work up, songs and whatnot. We actually recorded Texas Flood over the work tapes for his record Lawyers in Love.
Oh, wow.
Used tape.
Wow.
He says, you guys bring tape? And we went, no. He said, well, you didn't bring tape? We're like, no, we just came out here,
No tape.
I mean, you know what? I think about it now. I go, the guy was probably like, oh, man, I don't know about these guys. I mean, I loved them over in Switzerland, but...
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a guy, his engineer who was going through something at the time. It was Thanksgiving weekend.
Wow.
And we just show up from Texas.
Yeah.
Stevie had gotten busted because a cop had seen him with some cocaine on a table. And so and Jackson and I talked about this recently. He goes, that's not even in the book. He goes, I told Chesley, him and Chesley, our manager, were old friends. I said, don't let him leave Texas and come out here. He goes, he's busting parole. And Stevie had busted his parole to go to. Oh. And that's kind of, was like, well, let's go out there. It's like, wait, what about your parole? Anyway.
Yeah.
It's just another little side story.
And he's like, fuck it. So he's on parole because of the cocaine?
Yeah.
It said, fuck it, we're driving. Did you guys drive out to L.A.?
Yeah, we drove out there in our van. We did some gigs.
Yeah.
I booked some shows. I go, let's get a few shows. Because it's going to cost money. We don't have any to begin with. And pack up some food, put it in an ice chest, and head out to Cali, baby.
Yeah.
So we did some gigs around L.A., little tiny joints that paid us $200-$300, and
you remember what they were? What places?
What was that Chinese place?
Genghis Khan.
Get me on the spot here.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I need to figure out what I'd like to figure out what that was, because I can't remember the names of them. But they were all in the L.A. area.
And did people know who you were, or were you just like, hey, we're a blues band, we're coming through?
Just another band who's playing at the joint that has bands all the time.
No shit.
Of no particular note, or maybe so, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The hell were those? I can't remember. Yeah, we just show up and we go in there, and we basically, the the first record's like the easiest one you probably will ever make.
Of course, because you've been playing the tunes for 5 years.
You've been doing them for all your life, so to speak. And
Yeah.
So we ran them one day and kind of got, while we were also getting sounds, and we came back the next day and kind of ran them again, and we were done.
Really?
Yeah.
2 days?
Yeah, I mean, we probably got most of it in one day. I mean,
holy shit.
That's, I don't think I've ever made a record, that became notable for anything that was any more. I mean, we were like guys like standing naked in front of on the church altar going, look, here we are.
Yeah.
This is just us. You just play the songs and you go, well, I guess we're done. We did the songs.
Oh, that's so hilarious.
No, it's
like you don't know like overdubbing processes or maybe doubling tracks and
no.
You're just like, there it is. Okay, see ya.
No, I mean, I tell you, we couldn't have made an any more honest record.
Yeah.
A recording. It was just, there we were. We played the songs and they were on tape. And the truth of it, we brought those tapes back. Stevie put like on a couple of different vocals because he didn't like the way he sang. We were basically doing this stuff like live. I mean, we were playing it all live.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and he came back and said, I don't really like the way I sang. They go, well, sing it again. And I think he did something to a bit of like one of the guitars. I mean, replayed some part on a song or two. It was just very little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, basically, we just played the songs.
Oh, that is incredible. Now, this record comes out, and you go on probably what is the biggest tour of that early 80s, man, Huey Lewis on the sports tour.
Yeah, that was a little bit. I mean, the very first thing that we did was that we had an agent, Alex Hodges. He lives in L.A. He got us on. He convinced us that we should do the Moody Blues. Wanted us to open for him. That was like they hadn't done anything like in years, and it was a big tour. That was like we went like right to the big stage.
Whoa, Moody Blues was still drawing at that time.
Oh well, yeah, no, because they were like they were like a big band back in the day, and then they hadn't done anything, and then they were going to do a tour. So I mean, it was like 2 nights at Meadowlands. And,
wow.
There was like, and we were like, and we opened the whole tour for them.
Wow.
So we went from like vans and clubs to like, well, you're going to do this now. Stevie didn't really want to do it.
He didn't?
He said, we're nothing like those guys. And then Alex said, no, you remember this? He brought in like their first couple records where they played like R&B type stuff. And he said, I think you'll find a great audience with their people. And they loved us. Their audience loved us.
Oh, you had to be smoking them, man.
The band was happening. But the Huey Lewis tour.
Yeah. Yeah,
I ran into Huey Lewis. We used to stay at the Mayflower Hotel right there on the Columbus Circle and off of Central Park West.
Yeah.
To the south there. And I was going to get on the elevator one day, and the elevator door opened. It was Huey Lewis and a couple of guys coming down. And he went, Chris Layton, Rub Shuffle, Cold Shot. And I went, Huey Lewis.
Yeah.
I said, he said, that's cool. He said, he goes, I love that shuffle. I go, well, maybe we ought to all play it together sometime. He went, yeah, maybe so. And then it was like weeks later that we got a call saying, hey, Huey Lewis and the News wants y'all to open their sports tour.
Wow. And Huey was in that blues band Clover back in the day, and he played a lot of blues. That was his thing in Marin County, blowing the harp, playing blues. So he was obviously, you guys had to be like, he must have loved that.
You know what? He loved those guys. That was the funnest tour I've ever done. Wow. I mean, he was so good to us. I mean, they paid us well. It was carte blanche. There wasn't no like give them 50% power on the system and only give them a third of the lights. And there wasn't any of that like opener, headliner kind of deal. He said, whatever they want, give it to them.
Sick.
Everything they want, give it to them.
And that fucking record exploded.
Oh, God.
It's unreal. Like I'm wearing this Huey Lewis sweatshirt today, and that's how we brought up the sports tour. I wear it because I like to, that is, I'm such a song guy. And that record from top to bottom, it's like, how the fuck did this guy write all these hits?
They're real middle. Like we're gonna have the. I mean, this is all those songs were songs that everybody can relate to.
Oh,
you can hear. You go, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good, simple ideas. And that whole thing, that was right, and that was like in the middle of the whole MTV mayhem.
Well, we got Born in the USA. It was just huge. MTV's huge. So sports is kind of like. I mean, even. What's his name? I lost on my love's in jeopardy, baby. Even he got caught wind on. He's a Bay Area guy too. I fucking can't remember his name right now. It's bumming.
Fucking
And I
getting
know
Alzheimer's.
Greg Ken.
Huh?
Greg Ken.
Greg Ken.
So Greg Ken. You start looking at all these kind of 80s kind of. I don't know. It's almost just white rock, you know? It's like, it's hard to explain what it is, but it was everywhere. Even Jefferson Starship had that era of where they were in there too, of those hits with Mickey Thomas and all that.
Right.
There was just kind of this thing, but then Huey puts out this record and it's insane. And then you guys have these two bands together going across that are just massive radio bands, you know?
You know what that was? I mean, that tour was like the third biggest tour of that year.
Wow.
We came in third place.
Third place, yeah, which is a lot of money.
No, yeah, it was. But that whole thing, it was that whole MTV thing. It was like the shows just got bigger like immediately,
Yeah.
and the buses would all travel, and there would be like carloads of people screaming. It looked like something you would shoot for an MTV video.
Yeah.
It was all that fan mayhem.
People are following, going
People
crazy.
are literally following us,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was a hell of a lot of fun.
When you guys start busting out and getting big, what's the dynamic like in the group? Does Stevie stay positive and cool, or was he like, I'm Stevie Ray Vaughan now?
No.
No.
You know what? He was never that guy.
Awesome.
I think he's probably, I don't know of anybody I've ever met that was more humble than he was.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. That's actually that whole part of him. Him as just a person, like a guy sitting where you are.
Yeah.
Was just as special as his guitar playing. I mean, the caveat is that I was talking with his brother one time. He said, well, I mean, he wasn't Jesus Christ. And I go, no, he wasn't, but he kind of had that thing about him.
Yeah.
Kind of.
The Messiah of guitar.
Kind of lead by example, you know? Because he wasn't a preachy guy. He didn't talk a lot,
Yeah. Oh, no shit?
No, I was the one with the motor mouth, I guess, probably in the band. But, no, he was a good dude. I had an instinct when I met him. I thought, this guy, in a weird way, he reminded me of my father. He didn't preach and lay shit out, telling people how it is and all that, but just a good dude who you could count on to do the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
Even with all that could be that trail of wreckage behind him in his personal life.
Yeah.
He was just a good dude.
I often look at stuff, and I don't know where you stand on this, but sometimes I think people, I truly believe this, are set on the earth to remind us what good art is, and then they're taken away. I feel like that as far as like these people they're here for a minute, and then they're gone. And it seems to be when they're like really extreme, incredible artists, say a Kurt Cobain, Stevie Ray, a Jim Morrison, these guys that kind of I feel like they're set here for a reason to remind you what good art is, and then they're gone, and hopefully to reset the barometer of stuff,
Well, something that I experienced happening with Stevie's death was, I think it makes whatever they were, it's kind of more poignant.
Yeah.
And it kind of, that thing seems to create like a kind of an icon fashioning, kind of a mythological type thing because of departure.
Yeah. Like Randy Rhoads, this guy was this freak of nature guitar player,
Yeah.
then gone instantly.
Yeah, it does something. I think it sets up something that, the rest of us who are observers kind of go, well, wow, you know what? We are mortal.
Yeah.
Right.
Sam Kinison. I really like.
Sam Kinison.
And also I look at it weird. This is why I think about Stevie and Sam and people here that they were maybe supposed to die from drugs and some, you know what I mean? And then they get clean and straighten out and they still get taken out. That's to me where I look at it as like, well, they are supposed to go somehow,
Well, yeah, I mean, the truth of it is we're all going to go.
Yeah.
But when do we go?
Yeah.
And there seems to be some kind of thing attached to the how we go.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, guitar player. We were on this tour and we were watching Hendrix on TV. It was something.
Yeah.
He said, wow, he goes, I wonder what it'd been like if Jimi Hendrix was like still alive. And he was positing like what if he was like, like he was 72 and like he had like this big old pot belly and he lost all his hair and he was like sitting on the front porch just playing his guitar, and
Yeah.
you go, what, how would everybody think about him now?
Right.
I mean, because he's 27 forever.
Right.
He's in the 27 club.
Of course.
You go, wow, but there's that. And we're all kind of, I don't know. I don't really know what that is. That's kind of just, but I know from experience it's kind of a fascinating thing.
It is.
Because, whatever the case may be, is that I think a lot more people are more interested and kind of aware of Stevie because of that than if we were like just kind of kept on going and kind of got old and kind of, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I tell you what I do know is that I've got way more questions than answers these days.
yeah.
I used to have a lot of answers and now I got more questions.
Yeah. I don't know what happened that day. I know the helicopter crashed. Because I never really, it just came on. It was like, oh, wow. Why were you guys in the bus or what was going on?
No. What happened is that when we were doing these shows with Clapton at Alpine Valley,
Yeah.
The due diligence was, there's a little tiny road that leads in and out of that valley. You're going to have
Right.
like 60,000 people every night. So when the show's over,
Yeah.
and we were all staying in Chicago. Everybody was. All
Yeah.
the bands, everybody was staying in Chicago. And management said, so what we were thinking about doing is getting you guys like chopper service up there.
Yeah.
And because Meigs Field, we were at the Four Seasons, and Meigs Field was like 3 blocks away from the hotel. Just get in the helicopters and fly to Alpine, do the show, and come home. And they said, the people who have the best rating is Omni Flights in the whole Illinois area.
Yeah.
They go, but Clapton's party is already
Booked him.
I've already booked them. They go, so we could do that too, but and there won't be really a schedule conflict unless y'all all hang out and jam the last night,
Right.
and then you'll have to wait for them, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what happened. And so one of their guys decided he was going to stay back and take care of some work. He needed to do some work, and so they thought, well, Stevie, we should offer it to him, leader of the band and all that. And he took him up on the offer and got on the helicopter, and it took off and flew into the side of the mountain.
Wow.
Which was totally like a weird thing because the pilot had an impeccable flight record and
Right.
knew better than to try to fly out of a soup bowl valley that was full of fog instead of just going up until he could see and then take off.
Right.
It was just like, I don't. That's one of those forever head scratchers.
Yeah.
Other than that's just what was supposed to happen.
It's just like the Kobe Bryant one recently. You
Yeah.
know? Same thing. Like, what happened? This guy was a serious pilot, and it's just like, wow, man. It's just so you guys.
But we were there, so we were. I mean,
Right.
we were there backstage. Stevie and I sat around and talked for about 40 minutes, and we covered a range of topics that to me was actually kind of strange to have that kind of conversation there and then.
Right.
And
Like, what were you guys talking about?
well, my son was getting ready, as it turned out to be a son, was getting ready to be born in 3 months, and we were talking about all the things that had gone on, since we met. But you don't sit around and talk.
Right.
I was like, we were talking about that. We were talking about, he told me, he goes, I don't know how you feel about this. He goes, but I came upon some whole lot of different ideas about our next record. He and Jimmy had just finished their record, and they were going to go do a few shows without any of us.
Right.
They were going to do a whole unique thing to kind of kick that record off, and he talked about how he was glad he wanted to do it mostly his whole life, and he thought it was good for him and Jimmy, but he thought, this was in the context of saying, but I got a bunch of ideas for our next thing. He said, I don't know how you feel about the idea of some strings or horns, and I went, yeah, man, I'm here.
Yeah.
I go, look, bring it on. He said, yeah, well, I got a bunch of wild shit. Hopefully everybody digs it.
Yeah.
He said, and that was kind of towards the end of the conversation. He goes, yeah, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute. And then he came back up with his bags. I said, where are you going? He said, well, they offered me a flight on the helicopter. I said, well, but you got everybody's here. Your brother and sister-in-law, management, agents, even our accounting group, some of them had flown from L.A. and friends from Austin. I said, everybody's here. He said, no, I got to go.
Oh, man.
He said, I want to go call my girlfriend. I said, well, they got phones all over, bag phones.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
They got phones, installed phones everywhere for the show.
Yeah.
I said, use the phone here. He goes, no. He goes, I got to go. And 5 minutes later, he was gone.
Wow. How do you hear about it? Does it like they walkie-talkie, or you're at the venue still, right?
No, they didn't say anything to us. They, of course, we sat there, and when he left, I looked up and I saw this fog setting in.
Yeah.
And right above where he and I were sitting was a regular old like phone pole that had the old street light on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I looked up there and went, God, that street light's like disappearing in the fog. And then, 45 minutes, an hour later, it got really, really thick. I couldn't even hardly see the light. And then someone came and said, look, Omni Flights is telling us we have to get out of here. We need to go to the Americana Resort, which is up. It's in the uplands, because it's the only place that they want to bring the helicopters because of all the fog.
Right.
Then we went, okay, so we got into transport. We went up there, and they picked us up. And I remember looking around going, I thought there was one more helicopter.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then we flew back to Chicago. And all these friends that flew up, I was hanging out with some of them, and it was getting late, and I said, I got to go to bed. And Stevie and I talked about having breakfast the next morning. And so I go, and I'm in my room, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and our tour manager says, we need to have a band meeting. This was like right before daybreak.
Yeah.
And I said, band meeting? I said, what do you, he said, just need to come to my room.
Yeah.
And I'm on my way there. I thought, oh, this is weird. We've never done anything like this. I'm like, whatever. Something must be up.
Yeah.
And it was, because all of a sudden everybody started gathering. And I went, where's Stevie? And they went, well, hang on a minute. We're getting ready to get a phone call. And I went, and then the phone rang. Got on the phone. It was Eric's manager, Roger Forrester, and our manager saying, look, there was an accident last night. One of the helicopters didn't make it back. Whoa. And they go, and the one that Stevie was on, and everybody has perished from that flight. We're all like, I thought, you know what, this is bullshit. I don't even believe this. I didn't believe it. I looked out and saw the sun was starting to come up. I went, this is just, I remember thinking it was like the worst joke that anybody had ever played on me.
Yeah.
And I called security. I asked Skip, our tour manager, I said, what room is he in? And he told me, I told security, so you have to meet me at this room like right now. I had them meet me there.
Yeah.
And I said, you got to open this door. And they wouldn't do it at first. I said, no, it's not my room. They go, we can't do it. I said, all I want you to do is open the door and just open it. And I'll stand outside in the hallway. And they opened the door, and the door swung open, and there was the bed with the turn down. There wasn't anybody in there. And that's when I knew, right then is when I knew that all that had happened. Otherwise, I was in total shock total shock.
Yeah.
And denial, of course. That was it. And I went, oh, man. And then the world changed.
Oh.
My world changed. Everything was like, I can't, I mean, I kind of basically became hysterical. I was just like, I couldn't make sense of anything after that.
Oh, man. You just come back to Austin the next day?
We did, and I remember, the only sane thought that I had that I remember was that somebody said, yeah, they're kind of reporting it all on the news. And I thought, well, what if my wife and some friends think that the band was on there?
Right.
And so I called my wife, I called Betty, and I said, she goes, I heard. I said, yeah, no, honey, I'm fine. I said, I wasn't on the helicopter. She went, oh, God. I thought, it was one of those things where you're like going, I didn't know anything about like how much time had gone by or anything, but I know that I was sane enough to call her and let her know that I wasn't on it.
Oh, man. How many were on that copter? Was it
on the helicopter?
Yeah.
5, 6 with the pilot.
And what were they?
They were all Clapton's people.
Oh.
Bobby Brooks' agent,
Uh-huh.
and a whole number of people that were really close associates of his. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it like it just happened to, and Stevie was involved, but there was a whole bunch of people very dear to. Of course, when anybody dies, that's the case. But it was an absolute fucking wholesale tragedy.
Man.
Horrible.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Horrible for everybody left behind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, because it's just like, it's like, I grew up, Stevie Ray died, and then Bill Graham died in the copter after the Huey Lewis show. And I was just kind of like, wow, man, this is like like when people go down in the cop, you're just like, and that was in the 90s, you're thinking like, the 90s, a copter goes down, you just can't grasp it, it's,
yeah.
And then just gone, and the interesting thing about it was he was gone, but then these records were coming out, and it just felt like he was just still here. The Carnegie Hall one, these records were coming out, and it was like Stevie's still around. I mean, full on. It was.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about that's the great thing about anything that's that there's actually a recording of, a record of.
Yeah.
In that so in the time that we live, that you go, wow, I can still have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which for us, all the way back to the beginning is what it was all about anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. How long did it take you before you start playing again? You come home, are you just kind of just shell-shocked for a while? Like, wow, I mean, I was just in one of the greatest groups of all time, and Stevie's gone. I mean, you're in Austin. It's such a music world. If you go down 6th Street, you're just going to hear Stevie licks. At that time, it had to be just like, I got to get the fuck away from this for a bit.
You know what? I didn't really have, I had no, the truth of it is I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I had PTSD from the whole event.
I bet.
And I discovered that later when whole time segments of my life were kind of flip-flopped around, and people said, that's not when that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So I mean, I was able to do a lot of work, to try to realign myself, because I don't. But what you asked the question, and really what it was that remember the best that I can really remember, because I haven't recalled all this in any kind of detail, was that I basically was just sitting, kind of staring out, into life.
Yeah.
And a guy, Stephen Bruton, singer, songwriter, guitar player, called me up. He's deceased now. Great guy. Played with Chris Christopherson and
oh, cool.
Old guy from Fort Worth. He was in films with Christopher. Really guy. Bonnie Raitt, musical director. Really, really great. Turned into like this stellar human being. He called me up and he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm just sitting on the couch. He said, yeah, I figured you were. He goes, you're going to get up and you're going to come play on this record for me.
Wow.
And I said, no, I don't really feel like doing it. He goes, oh, no, I know you don't feel like doing it. He goes, I want to give you an hour. You get up off that couch and you go get your drums and you meet me at Wink Tyler's studio. And I'm not taking no for an answer.
Whoa.
And I got off the phone. I went, well, I've just been ordered to do something. And I got up and I got my drums and I went over to do this record. And that's what got me back in the game.
Oh, shit. How long was that after?
It was 2 months.
Wow.
Which is not like a long time, but
Yeah. But
think about that.
It is a long time when you get off a plane every day of your life.
You know what it is when for like 13 years you've been working like 200 days a year.
Exactly.
And the rest of the time you're just traveling. I go, 2 months is like an eternity.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know what? I just gave you that figure. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
But it was something like that. But I know that was just that moment where when I did that and it was like a good record, I went, you know what? Something told me like, you know what? You're back with it. You need to stay with it.
Oh, man, that's great.
But you know what? I can't tell you how much it means to me now.
Yeah.
You know, I think about that. Somebody called me and said, you're going to get up and get going.
Yeah.
You know?
You need that, man.
It's emotional. I think about it's like, you know what? Somebody helped me and they knew that I needed that and they did that. And I think that's should be the reason that we're all really here.
Yeah, to get somebody else going that needs the push.
That's kind of the art of good living.
Yeah.
One of us say, you know what? I'm going to help you.
Payback, passing on, all that stuff.
They see that you need something, and they take some kind of action, some kind of spiritual human action to say, "Come on, we're going to go right now."
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and then you guys get the Archangels going, which is really kind of my introduction to South by Southwest. I come out for that, and Doyle and. You know, that you guys got this record that's coming out. You're going to play South by Southwest, and you get that going, and that kind of fucking hits, man.
Yeah, it's funny that story. After we got back before we actually went to Alpine Valley,
yeah,
I was over at this place we call the Arc. We had a place called the Austin Rehearsal Complex. And Doyle Bramhall just moved back to town. I'd seen him. I've known him since he was 11 years old.
Yeah.
And I went back to Charlie Sexton's little studio, and he said he was mixing on something. I go, what do you got there? I go, that sounds cool. He goes, it's a demo. He goes, Doyle and I wrote a song.
Yeah.
And I heard it, and I went, for what? He went, well, I don't know. He goes, maybe my record. Well, we don't know. I said, you know what? I got an idea. I said, why don't we get a band together? Me and Tommy and you two guys. Stevie and Jimmy are getting ready to go do this stuff, and maybe we could just do some gigs around town. He went, yeah, man, that'd be cool, man. That'd be great, you know. So we go off to do Alpine Valley, and then that happens. I'm thinking, you know, at some point I went, wow. So some time passed, and Mark Proct, who had heard about this because I'd mentioned it to Doyle.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not sure how it got to Mark Proct, who was managing Doyle. Robert Cray was on this sold-out tour, and Mike Kappas from the Rosebud Agency,
yeah,
they were going through and going, hey, man, let's pick up. We heard about this band. You guys want to open for us? Because they didn't need anybody to support ticket sales.
Yeah.
And so he called Mark Proct. He said, you know anything going on in Austin, some new band or anything exciting? Robert's going to be through there in a little bit. And he said, yeah. Chris Layton, Tommy Shannon, and Doyle Bramhall and Charlie Sexton put together a band. We'd never actually played at all.
Hilarious.
Nothing had happened.
Yeah.
And he said, man, you know what? We want them to open the show.
That's cool.
No, so he came to us. He said, well, he goes, if you guys want to, if you're ever thinking about doing anything, he goes, how would y'all like to open for Robert Cray like in 3 days?
In 3 days.
And we went, yeah, okay. Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
So how long do we have to play? He said, it's only a 40-minute spot. So we go in and we work up like 40 minutes of songs, and he comes by to see us, Mark Proct, the manager, who became our manager. And he said, we were all out front of the joint smoking cigarettes, and then he said, well, you guys got a name? And we went, no. He said, you got to have a name.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I saw the Ark, and I went, how about the Archangels?
That's hilarious.
And everybody went, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess we have to have a name. And so we hit the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Archangels. And so that was our name.
Oh, I love it, man.
One of those things that just kind of, just comes out. And I went, yeah, how about the Archangels?
That's the best.
I think it was from my Catholic upbringing. But
that's great, though, when it happens like that.
Yeah, so, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what? You guys have, Gary Gersh wants to give you guys a deal on Geffen Records.
Wow.
And we went, what? He goes, yeah, record deal, man. You guys are a band. He just called. He was offering you guys a deal.
Hilarious.
And I said, no. I said, I'm not going to just sign with somebody that I've never even seen the band.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want somebody to sign us and they'd never seen us. So I thought, come on, man. somebody who's buying has got to come look at the merchandise. So,
Yeah.
so we set up this gig with a friend of mine at this little bar that he was getting ready to close. They were going to close down, but we were kind of like one of the party that was going to end the deal, you know. And
Yeah.
Gary Gersh flew in, and the band played the show. And went, absolutely, I want to sign you guys right up. So we did the deal, and we made the record, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then played South by Southwest.
Yeah, no, the South by Southwest was like, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we did it like a showcase, but I think it was as much for people to say, see what happens at South by Southwest, but we already had the deal before.
Yeah, they make it look good. You were telling me that one because that was back when it was kind of this thing of like these unknown bands show up and then labels find them, but then later you find out, oh, no, they were checking us out in Tennessee all year, you know?
I know this sounds like a really crappy thing, but I was talking with my wife this morning. She said, well, she said, well, I mean, wonder what's going to happen or not happen with all these people that were going to come to South by Southwest. I go, one thing everybody could probably rest assured, and don't worry about the fact that you didn't get to come here because you weren't going to get a deal anyway.
Yeah. No.
That's a horrible thing.
Well, the record deals are South by Southwest. The first time I was here was when Archangels played. It is such a different animal from back then to what it is now.
It's like it's like a remnant
It's just
of that
a corporate
idea.
thing now.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Tech convention.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really what it is. It's really an interactive technology convention more than anything. I mean, as far as if you're talking about, I think people doing business.
Yeah.
You know, like before it was like, let's go. If we can get in there, maybe that agent or that guy will see us and we'll get our big record deal.
Yeah. When I first met you, I had just interviewed John Mayer, and he was, you know, he worships the Double Trouble. I mean, he was talking about like, oh, those guys are great. You played with him, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And when you were playing with him, were you like, wow, this guy really has something? Because you did tell me that you thought Doyle was one of the greatest of all time. What was your thoughts on playing with John Mayer? Because I'm pretty blown away by his playing, and I was a guy that was not a fan, and then all of a sudden became a fan.
Well, the very first time I heard one of his songs, I Want to Run Through the Halls of my high school, you know, that guy's got something going on. I mean, as songwriting.
Right.
But we did City Limits, the TV show, and I said, man, that'd be great to do more of this. And so he came up with this idea. We did 2 shows at Irving Plaza and then the Conan show.
Oh, wow.
And so I spent a little bit of time with him. I go, the guy was really, really talented. I mean, he's got lots of talents.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of came out. But I mean, his guitar playing, I mean, it was kind of a freaky, these Irving Plaza shows, because we did songs that we did in Double Trouble that weren't our songs, and then our songs was the playlist, because the band was me and Tommy and John and Buddy Guy.
Whoa.
And then a horn player,
Right.
who joined us. Can't think of his name. Shit. But we did like Buddy Guy songs. We did, you know, which we did.
Yeah.
We covered some Buddy Guy because that was one of Stevie's favorite guys, and so that's kind of that was our repertoire. So, you know, as far as his guitar playing, but yeah, he does a good job of like presenting these ideas as a player. And I went, wow, I didn't know that about him, not from Witness, you know. But I combined that with like, you know, his singing and songwriting. I go, this guy's got a lot of talents, a lot of stuff going on.
His singing's smoking.
Yeah, no, he's a talented guy, man.
I mean,
all the way.
Sings those Dead songs. It's like Althea and stuff. It's like, wow.
No, he's very talented. I mean, all from soup to nuts.
Yeah.
He's very, very talented.
I just had Brad Whitford on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how the Hendrix experience is one of his favorite things on the planet to do. I mean, his face fucking
really?
lit up. And he's like, yeah, Chris Layton, and, you know, we're fucking out there. We're on the bus. We're brothers. We're all on time, and it's professional. And I mean, this guy, his face lit up.
You know that story I was just telling you about watching Jimi Hendrix on TV?
Yeah,
and that friend,
him?
It was him.
Yeah.
It was him that turned to me and goes, wow, what if Jimmy was still alive? That was him that was talking to me. I didn't mention his name, but
he loved that experience, man. It was so funny because we're just on the couch, and it was at the end of the interview, and I said, I said, hey, did you dig doing the Hendrix thing? Oh my God. Oh, I love that. Oh, you know.
Yeah, he's great. We have a good time. We're always, when he does it, we're like bus mates. And
Yeah.
he's such an easygoing guy.
Yeah,
you know?
he's a great guy.
He's a great dude, and he plays great. He's just a fun hang. Yeah, yeah.
Pretty smoking. What, now you've been playing with, you've been Kenny Wayne Shepherd for a while now.
Yes.
You guys just did a new record. That's when I met you. Were in L.A. doing that record.
Right.
And I've only seen him once. Does he still got the singer, the guy that comes out and sings Blue on Black?
Yeah, Noah Hunt. Yes.
That's wild. Like the guy, what's he sing? Like 2 songs?
Well, no, he's Noah sings most of the whole night.
Oh yeah.
Kenny sings a couple of songs.
Right. But when
and
I
more.
saw it, it just seemed like it was Kenny playing, and then the guy would come out and sing a little bit. You know, that was a long time ago.
Well, I tell you, this is a really interesting thing. Kenny has added 2 horn players to the band. Joe Sublette, the guy who was on my roommate's, how I met Stevie.
Wow.
Playing tenor sax, and a guy named Mark Pender on trumpet, who played in Conan's band for 25 years, and he played with Springs and a whole bunch of different people playing trumpet. So there's horn section, and then Kevin McCormick, who you had dinner with, is going to be the new bass player.
That guy's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Love that guy.
Yeah, Joe Crown, keyboards from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And Noah and Kenny and me. So the band's smoking. You know, is kind of a change from a purely guitar heavy show.
Right.
Where
Gotcha.
no matter what's going on vocally, it seems like it's all about guitar because there's so much of that. So all that's being passed around amongst several really great soloists, and it's kind of become a different musical kind of thing that will emerge on this new record.
Wow.
When I last saw you.
That's great. When's that coming out?
I don't know. It's not finished yet. So.
And then are you guys touring?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we're hitting it the 24th of this month, and then we do some spotted runs until we kind of get busy. Europe twice, and the U.S. going all the way up into the late fall.
Isn't it funny how long you've been playing with Kenny? Like, you know, is it longer than the Double Trouble now?
You know what? It right now it is.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah.
But I met him. The funny thing about that is that I met him, but I don't remember. I remember seeing him when his father, Ken Shepherd, was a program director, and their station were co-presenters on a show in Shreveport, and he brought his 7-year-old son to the show and asked if he could sit and watch the show from the wings. And this little tow-haired kid, blonde-haired kid, sitting over there, I remember him sitting over there, and that's so funny because as the story goes, he told his dad the next day, he goes, I want to play guitar like him, because that's what I want to do. And, I mean, Kenny's amazing. I mean, he's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
From a guitar player, artist, father, husband, the whole deal. He's
good
he's
dude.
He's a good dude, and he's got his whole focus like right to the grindstone of, working a good life. So I did his first record.
Yeah.
And our guy hooked us up here, and I went and I played on all of his records except the one he did with Marty Fredrickson, where they pretty much did everything. So I've been on all of his records, and I really started playing with him, I mean, full time, 13 years or so ago.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I do other things, obviously, but
yeah.
That's my first call and my commitment to do that.
I really liked, out of that run of the Stratton Hat guys, I was so into Johnny Lang, because I love that Lie to Me song, Lie to Me. And he was playing a telly, and he was singing, and he had this voice, and I was like, wow, this kid's great.
He's a serious dude. I've known Johnny, which we always do the Hendrix stuff together. He's kind of a mainstay of the tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's always, it's funny because it's him and Brad Whitford that kind of that partner up. They tend to, and that's one of the ensembles on that tour. But I had a band, Storyville.
I remember that.
Atlantic Records Act that we did this show in Louisville.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, this guy's going to open for you guys. They go, just his record's getting ready to come out. His name is Johnny Lang. And I went, well, whatever. I never heard of him, you know.
Yeah.
They go, he just turned 15. I went, 15? I thought, was this another one of these like marketing things?
Yeah.
They go, he's a really, really good singer. I go, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the band comes on, and we're hanging out like, you know, at catering, which was a tent, and the band kicks it off, and he steps up to the mic. I went, Mother of Jesus. So
Yeah.
he starts singing. I went, wow. I go, it was kind of like, it reminded me of the first time when I heard Spencer Davis Give Me Some Lovin' with Steve Winwood singing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, how old is he?
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, he had it, man.
No, he had. I was like, God,
Yeah.
I'm kind of dumbfounded.
Yeah.
Because he was so good. It was like some 40-year-old guy singing. He was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And but I've known him for years now, and he's a great dude. He's a great dude as well. And he plays great, and he sings, and he's a good guy. And you know.
My favorite of the last 5 years in this kind of style would be Marcus King.
He's that whole thing is happening.
I think he's one of the greatest I've seen easily in 25 years.
He's great. He's great. We shared the bill a couple of times at festivals, and first time I saw him, somebody said, you got to check this guy out, and hit me to him. I went and saw a YouTube thing in the studio. I went, yeah, that's really cool. Cool music, arrangements, the whole deal, what everybody's doing and the trip, you know?
Yeah.
And we saw him live. I went, yeah, man, this is a cool thing.
That guy's great, man.
He's great, and the music, you know, the way they put it together it's very, very cool.
Well, he's a lot like Stevie in a way of like, he can burn on guitar, but he writes songs.
Yeah.
And his songs are really, really good. And he's put 4 records out in like the last 4 years. He's not just like sitting around. This guy's a working dude at 24 years old and just murdering it, man.
Yeah, he's getting with it. Yeah.
How old are you now?
Me?
Yeah.
I just turned 38.
38. Fuck. Well, I tell you what, you got great hair.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you.
Your hair is fucking great.
It's holding up pretty well for a 38-year-old.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm 64.
64. And what kind of aches and pains do you have from drums?
You know what?
Yeah.
But let me get over here to some wood. Oh, here's
Okay.
some wood.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Yeah,
old
that's
trusty,
a Ludwig
old
kit.
trusty wooden drum kit.
Yeah.
I have none.
You have none.
I have none
That's
yet.
great.
Yet.
Holy shit. I mean, do you work out or what? Because you're in great shape. You look great. Or is it just like genetics where you're just like skinny, like, you know?
I think it's, you know, I think that truthfully, it's genetics is a big part of it. But other than the time when looked like I was trying to destroy myself, I always had another side of me that was actually trying to maintain good health.
Yeah.
Good diet. I stay active. I work out a little bit. I don't go to gyms or anything, but I kind of embarked on this path when my father got sick years ago as a teenager, and somebody almost once thought I might try to be a bodybuilder, and that notion lasted about a month. And, but I learned a lot about how to stay healthy, because when you're young, you're usually pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But how to stay healthy through physical regimen, diet, and other things, you know?
Yeah.
Finally, body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My mother was a big preacher of that, you know?
Yeah.
The balance of the body, mind, and spirit, you know, deal. And I went, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It does, actually.
You know?
It does.
Spiritually, psychologically, you know, mentally, right?
Yeah.
And physically, it's like, you know, they kind of need, they get real good when they all work together, like in a cooperative way, you know?
We're sitting in your drum man cave, and it's pretty interesting. We pull up, and you said, yeah, the first check I got was from Texas Flood. It was $15,000, and I bought this house, and it's just kind of this little, like kind of almost like a Louisiana swamp pad, you know, like we're in old school Austin, and I absolutely love this. When I pulled up, I was like, and you still own it. So you bought this back then. How much was it when you bought it?
The house?
Yeah.
I don't want to make everybody around here cry.
Yeah, but it's funny because I love to hear stories like that because you still have it, which I love.
You know what? I got to thank my wife for that because one point I said, "Yeah, let's sell the house." She goes, "We're selling that house over my dead body." I went, "Okay." Okay, yeah, I guess so. I mean, we do own it, so
Yeah.
yeah, that was built in 1940.
1940.
In fact, when it was all that looking to be like post-war bungalow, it was a modest time.
Yeah, oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's when we had modesty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that original little house up there was 500 square foot house.
Whoa.
And then some people came along in the 80s, early 80s, and they added a whole nother 490 square feet to it.
To make it a total of 900.
It's 992 square feet.
Right. Wow.
You know, it was like, you know, we're like this young couple, and we go, yeah, this is perfect. It had been completely redone. These couple of gay guys had bought it and did that fucking wonderful deal of like, you know, just the right shit everywhere,
Yeah,
you know.
gay guys are the best, man.
Keeping the old shit, you know, restoring it and adding this new shit, the brand new shit that hadn't even come around the block yet.
Yeah,
and you're going,
yeah.
And it was all done, and it was just sitting there vacant, and they'd never been able to sell it. They'd had it on the market for like 3 months or whatever.
Whoa.
And nobody had even looked at it. And my wife and I, girlfriend at the time, she's from Ohio. It started snowing in Austin, and she goes, why don't we go out driving around, see if we can find a place to live? Because we had roommates, right?
Yeah. Roommates, and you got Texas flood out, and you got roommates.
But we had a roommate.
Right,
we were
I
together.
get it.
We were plural together, but
Yeah.
and we're driving around. There's nobody on the streets. Everybody, it starts snowing here. Everybody fucking ducks. You know?
Yeah.
They head for under the bed and shit, and we're driving around. We see these little hardware store signs like house for sale, and we just followed the fucking breadcrumbs all the way back here to the alley, and we went, I don't know, let's call our friend the agent. And we looked at it, we went, how cool is that? And
Yeah.
we ended up buying the place for like $80,000.
Whoa.
I should don't talk about your business.
Oh.
Don't do that in public.
Oh.
And you know, I mean, we didn't have that kind of money.
Yeah,
We had
of course.
had money for a down payment, and
Yeah.
so the payments begin. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
That's great, though. I mean, here you are, you got nothing, and then you get a check from Texas Flood, and it's a down payment on a house, and you're 67 years old or whatever. You still own it right now. Who lives in there? You rent it out or something?
yeah, to a friend of mine who's been living there 16 years.
Wow.
A great musician.
Yeah.
Great artist. He writes great songs, guitar.
Yeah.
One of the best people you've ever met. You know, videographer.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a recording studio right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff in there. Some people in there working on music.
Oh, that's cool. Is there a garage? So we're in a front place here.
No, this is the back place.
Oh,
that's the front place.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, I
Okay.
see. So, there's a way to go there from another street?
Well, if you get on the street, it sits on a bluff. So if you look
gotcha.
up at it, you don't see anything.
Oh, shit.
But it's a bunch of weeds and shit.
Yeah.
So you look at it, what? Is there a house back there? And that's how we found it. With that, the back door used to be our front door.
Wow.
The only person who knew how to get to that front door was the mailman.
Oh,
He had to
shit.
come up a trail up the hill and then weave his way over to drop our
Wow.
mail. So we just always came in the back door.
And then meanwhile, this neighborhood becomes completely lightning hot.
Oh yeah, this is like gentrification on steroids.
Oh, but actually done pretty fucking good. Great
Yeah.
food, some good shops. It's not your gentrification of like the bullshit stuff of like Olive Garden.
Oh no, it's not. It's not a. It's
No, it's not.
No, man. It's all hip shit down here.
Yeah, it's
man.
great.
Got all the hip shit down.
Yeah, the
here.
hip shit. It's a neighborhood I would love to live in. It's just great, you know.
Yeah, no, it's a good vibe down there. There's always been a real difference, you know, classically between south of the river and north of the river.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where north of the river was always kind of like where the highfaluters kind of lived, more or less unspoken, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And South Austin was like where there was like, you know, fucking tire shops and battery stores and
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
shit.
that's even more in the modern era. It was like
Yeah.
it's where This whole area was where all like the artist type and the musicians live. I mean, they actually, when I got here, they were all over town.
Yeah, right.
Because it was like a real cheap place to live when I got here. But there was a kind of collection of that. Like, and I told you, there was like, these were the scrappers lived down here.
Yeah.
You know, people that kept the goats over here, people who had chickens on this side, the Sanford and Son people across the alley, you know.
Yeah.
The barrio, baby. It was the barrio down here.
It's funny to look at the era that just, how money is just, the tech came here. So then the people moved to Nashville. Then Nashville is exploded. Now they're moving to Memphis. It's funny. It's so hard to still be a blue-collar working musician and be able to survive. You got to keep moving to a different city. But I think even back when I was here for South by Southwest, I believe Waco had just happened when that was going on, and people were like, "Whoa, man!"
Oh, the David Koresh deal, the Branch Davidians, fucking bulldozers and burned the place down.
Yeah, that was people were like, "Hey, I'm getting the fuck out of here." There's crazy people, but it was always just a fantastic music city.
Austin's always been real different than like every other Texas city.
Of course.
You know what? It's probably the smartest thing I ever heard Rick Perry say, talking about all the liberals that live here, so to speak, which has kind of changed. But he said, Austin in Texas is like the blueberry and the tomato soup.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I go, hey, that's good.
Yeah.
Keep it up. Keep that up, Rick.
Yeah. I remember I did a bit here last time I was here with Marin. I said, Austin, it's cool, but they still got some shit in them. You know what I mean? There's still some Texas in there.
Yeah, we're all trying to hang on here, We've been invaded by lots of people. But
Yeah. You've been here, what, since 75?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You'll never leave, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, why?
Well, I haven't left yet.
Yeah.
This is Texas is. I read a book last year called "The Empire of the Summer Moon" by S.C. Gwynn about the reign of the Comanche.
Yeah.
And all my skipping school, I never really got it that this area going all the way up into the Panhandle of Texas was some of the last part of the country to be settled because of the Comanche.
Oh.
And how brutal it was.
Right.
I mean, just thinking you're going to come out here and go even head west from here and go, we'll just make a home out there. You'll probably get slaughtered. And the people that did it kind of gave me some insight to kind of the wild ass part of what is still Texas.
Yeah,
just the people.
Yeah.
You're talking about genetics and, or we were about that and health or body. But there's kind of like a genetic thing through Texans. It's kind of, when I read that book, I went, you know what? I get being and living in Texas more than I did previously.
Yeah, right.
By reading that book about what transpired here before this part of the country was kind of finally settled by white people, but nonetheless.
Right. We're surrounded by a bunch of different type of drum kits. You see these Fibes here. Some great Ludwigs, Tama. You got the orange Vistalite behind me, which I love.
Don't forget the 1950 Gretsch over there.
Wow. Yeah, in the champagne sparkle. And then about 50 snares here, which is unbelievable. What is your preferred drum kit? Sizes and brand?
Well, I endorse Ludwig, and this is a classic maple, and
I love this kit.
Every drum kit in here I really love for a different reason.
Yeah.
Like my friend owns the new version of the Fibes, the drum company, and this kit sounds awesome. I play it at certain times for certain things. Mostly I play Ludwig when I tour. The Tama, I was with them for 14 years, and I built one of them. Actually, these are two custom kits that go way back in time, and they're stellar drum company. All these kits have sonic and personal significance to me.
Yeah. Is this
me.
the Double Trouble kit right
Yeah,
here?
that was the first one.
Wow.
That one, that candy corn, the one right to the right of you.
Oh, yeah. I
was
call that
kinda-
Tequila Sunrise.
The Tequila Sunrise probably had the most exposure in my life in Double Trouble. And the flower kit back there was like the last kit that I had in action before, right up until the time that Stevie died.
Well, so that was like played at the Alpine Valley, that kit? Wow. Wow.
And
Pretty
but
damn.
that little kit,
what's
kit
that?
right there, that was Stevie's drum kit.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And after he was gone, Jimmy gave it to me.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
this one right here,
Yeah.
that was Mitch Mitchell's snare drum.
What?
That his wife gave to me.
No shit?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude.
Well, he had more than one.
I get it, but still,
Yeah.
man, that guy was just.
Yeah, and you know what? It has, of course, Mitch and I became good friends.
Yeah.
A while before he passed away, but and that drum, it sounds like the perfect Ludwig 5x14 Superphonic. It's
Wow.
metal drum, and it just
That's cool.
yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, and all those drums over there, I'm kind of a
hoarder.
snare addict.
Yeah, snare. Well, a lot of people are. I mean, there's guys that just collected, Black Beauties or Noble and Coolies, all these people, and then they make good money renting them out to studios. I remember back in the day, we'd be renting like 3 or 4 different Black Beauties, bringing them by for different sounds and finding the one, and it was interesting.
I've got that one in one of these bags right here.
Yeah.
One that I came across in 1990. We actually when we did the Archangels record.
Yeah.
And that's probably as a piece that I can use and take anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the drum that I've been used on like virtually everything since 1990.
Wow.
Yeah, it's down there somewhere.
I love your Grammys sitting over there. 4 of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah.
Well, no, I
There's like a screwdriver laying on one of them.
oh
I love it.
yeah. That's I don't know. You know what they all really represent are some really, really great memories.
Yeah, dude.
They're things,
Yeah.
but the memories behind them are really what is the great thing about them.
Well, man, you I got to tell you, you guys, what you did was so awesome, and I still cannot stress how incredible that it even happened in the era of what was going on in music at that time to come out as a 3-piece blues band, playing blues and in that era and breaking through to everyone.
Somebody asked me, and this happened more than once, but somebody said, well, how did you know that you had made it?
Yeah.
And I thought about that question, and when I met Stevie and we started working together, and especially when Tommy joined the band, that was the moment, regardless of anything and everything else, I figured that was the moment that I had made it.
Yeah.
Was that something that was that real? I go, that was special.
Yeah.
Because everybody desires to obviously make some sort of living, and then I think that we all have aspirations if we are able to do that. Maybe have more of that, but probably the truest thing is that I felt like I had made it. I didn't want to live on the edge my whole life, and so
Right.
I hope that you wouldn't do that. But you just keep working away. But that was really the real thing. That was the thing that was real about all of it. So how it happened, when it happened, and the reasons that it happened, I go, man, that's where you kind of throw fate to the universe. You just keep working and you keep going at it. If it's real to you, I go, you're already home free.
Yeah, man.
Really?
You've already made it if you're doing the thing.
Yeah, if you're
That's what I always tell people. They always say to me, they're like, hey, aren't you bummed you don't have a special or any of that? And I go, no, dude, I already made it. I'm 54 doing comedy.
Yeah.
I'm in Austin, Texas tonight, interviewing you, and then I'm going to do comedy. That's fucking beyond making it.
No, man, it's you know, if you can find if you're anybody's fortunate enough to find something, and I think that's out there.
Yeah.
My dad said that one time. He said, I think that somebody should be driven by their passion. And he said, I don't think that the Almighty really ever shorted anybody any talents. He goes, but the real trick in life is to finding what yours are.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's the road of like, you know, what is it that really gives some kind of meaning to your life? Like, what endeavor can you have that you find meaning in? I go, if you find that, you go, man, you're there. The rest of it, you know, not to discount any of it, the success that I've had is just, it becomes like a window dressing.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because it all comes and goes.
Yeah.
You know, I found that out several times in life with things that occur that I go, you know, so much of any of it can just be taken away, and it was.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I felt. But I go, you know, fortunes come, they go. You get a new car, you have an old car, you lose whatever. But
yeah,
if the endeavor is something that's real for you, then I go, man, you're there. I mean, any of us, I think.
That's so it, man. That's so it. You're a comedy guy, huh?
Smart ass, armchair smart ass.
So funny. We were driving over here, like, I think I might try it.
No. Oh God. I'll tell you what I did do though.
Yeah.
Instead of having that shit float around in my head as
Yeah.
it comes to me, I actually started writing it down just to get it out of there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't stay trapped in the fucking dryer, you know?
Yeah.
And the spin cycle.
Yeah. Like, here comes Chris with his goddamn jokes again on the tour bus.
No, not that guy.
That's great.
Actually, I met a guy who has like a comedy workshop here.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go try that out.
You got to try it.
Well, so here's the deal.
Yeah.
I thought about this for a few weeks and I started writing stuff down.
Yeah.
And then I ran into him again. I said, you know what? I said, I want to come try your comedy workshop. He said, shit, I just lost the lease on that deal. He goes, I'm going corporate. I go, what do you mean?
Oh.
He goes, I've been doing comedy for a long time. He goes, I set up whole scenarios where I help people with their corporate structure by bringing comedy into the workplace. So I'm just going to start doing that. I went, I said, so you're closing down? He went, yeah.
Oh.
I shut it down. I was like, that's just a good excuse for me to like, you know,
Yeah.
I guess I won't do that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'll go play drums is what I'll go do.
Yeah, that's hilarious. You can always jump on before Jimmy Vaughn's gig over there.
I'll be here all week. Oh, God, not him.
Well, thanks for doing the show, man.
Yeah, man.
It was so great to sit down and finally talk to you, and man, I'm glad we didn't do it in LA actually, because we were going to do it, and then you were in the studio with Kenny way too late, and this is way cooler. You pick me up in the 67 GT, and then we come out here to the drum room, man. I get to see the grit. This is awesome. You want to talk some artifacts? He's got a wall of CDs in here. I'm looking over at ZZ Top Eliminator right now.
Oh, yeah, baby.
That's fucking great.
Oh, yeah, right. It's the only one showing.
All electronic drums on that. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
All
well,
right.
I think things maybe they're they worked out like they were supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. When's the tour start?
We start hitting it with Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band March 24th.
Awesome.
And so basically we're going to be touring throughout the whole year.
Playing LA at all? Or come see you.
We don't have an LA play date yet, but
Right.
I'd be surprised if we don't have one.
Are you doing that Hendrix thing this summer?
You know what? I don't think it's not going to make this year. We're not doing it this year.
So
we
every
did it,
other year?
Yeah, we did it twice last year, and usually we tend to skip a year when we do 2 coast-to-coast segments.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to come see that. And I want to come see you play, man. It'll be great to see that and hang.
Yeah, man, we'll hook it up.
Yeah, you saw some you saw Bill and I do some comedy out in Vegas. You flew out for that.
Yeah, that was great.
That
man.
was great. Huh?
We had a good time. Yeah.
All right, you got an Instagram?
I do. It's a Whiptail. It's just Whiptail. WHIPTALE.
Yeah, Whiptail.
Whiptail.
Follow him, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. Another fantastic rock and roll Hall of Famer on here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I've been having these Hall of Famers over the last couple of years, And congrats on that. It's very cool. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Let There Be Talk. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. Check out the patreon.com/Dean Del Rey for all the bonus episodes. And look at DeanDelRey.com for all my tour dates. See ya.